My husband and I both have professional careers, and despite being fairly young, we have made good choices that have allowed us to buy a home and build a modest savings account, while also caring for our 3 young children. We have managed to avoid accumulating any debts, apart from our mortgage. This meant delaying purchases and saving up to pay with cash. Currently, we both drive cars that are over 10 years old, and we had hoped to replace one of them within the next 2 years without incurring any debt. On the other hand, my husband's parents are financially irresponsible. For their anniversary last year, they bought matching Teslas, even though they own a new truck that cost them over $100,000 and had recently remodeled their home. Despite this debt, having 15 years before retirement, and no savings or retirement funds at all, my father-in-law decided to cut his hours to part-time work because he disliked his 1-hour commute. Just a few weeks later, he and my mother-in-law took a 2-week vacation to the Bahamas. When they returned, he was let go from his job. Now, with my mother-in-law only working 3 days a week as a receptionist in a doctor's office, they are facing financial struggles. Typically, everyone comes here for Thanksgiving. Since we have plenty of room for everyone to stay without getting a hotel, it's always worked nicely and saves us from traveling with 3 children under 5 across the country. However, since my mother-in-law used up all of her PTO on their Bahamas trip, we had to fly there instead. Airfare for the 5 of us was close to $3,000, plus another $800 for the Airbnb, since my in-laws only had room for my sister-in-law, her boyfriend, and college roommate. It was hectic, but we were not too upset over the cost, since my husband had just learned he'd be receiving a $10,000 Christmas bonus. My husband was excited but chose not to mention the bonus, not wanting to come across as bragging when they were struggling. However, my sister-in-law found out about the bonuses through a friend of hers who also works for the same company and brought it up during Thanksgiving dinner. Later that night, on our drive back to the Airbnb, my husband said his mom had approached him privately and asked if he would consider giving them his bonus as a gift since it was an unexpected blessing, and he was torn. I understand that it's not my bonus and that we should want to help family. However, I can't help but feel they partially contributed to their situation. I'm also upset that outside of my mother-in-law letting us know that she will not be buying gifts this year, even for the grandkids, my in-laws have not adjusted their spending habits. They still shop at Whole Foods and just updated both their iPhones, while we drive older cars, cook at home, and shop for sale items at Walmart. Outside of this Thanksgiving trip to her house, in the 7 years we've been married, never have gone on a vacation. I don't know what to do. I feel guilty because I know my husband hates to see his parents struggling, but I can't help but feel a little resentment and feel because they have made poor choices, our family will be further behind. Update. Thank you for all the responses. To answer a few questions I've seen. 1. I heard them discussing that they are upside down on the vehicles, especially the truck, because they have put almost just under 80,000 miles on it between my father-in-law's commutes, as well as visiting my sister-in-law at college over the past 2 years. I believe that was their reason for buying the Teslas, since they are in a rural area and the commute was taking a lot for fuel, also the reason they are not considering selling them. 2. I do not believe they can get assistance due to their home. When they downsized 5 years ago due to the area they live in, they bought it for $1.5 million. Mother-in-law was salty about the smaller house, but father-in-law wanted to get out of the city. 3. Sister-in-law has another year of college and plans to move in with her boyfriend next semester. She doesn't work. Her boyfriend graduated last year and works in IT. The person sister-in-law knows at the company doesn't directly know my husband, but knew some departments received a large bonus this year. My sister-in-law thought it was his department and asked if he had received one too. 4. It was taxed, and it is a little over $6,000 now. 5. I have not said anything, but I do feel that this would not help them since this is not the first time they have used money for other things. Part of my husband's recruitment package was student loan reimbursement up to $12,000. Pre-grad needed his parents' help, and they took out a parent's loan for $6,000. He sent his parents a check for the full amount so it could be paid off. A year later, they casually brought up it was due and needed to pay on it. When he asked about it, they said they decided to use the money for something else and keep the loan because the payments were low. I feel they do not know how to budget or have a desire to. Some people brought up Dave Ramsey. You are correct, that is what our family uses. A few years ago, my father-in-law tried to put my mother-in-law on a budget. I had just started doing my hair, and mother-in-law noticed my products and started asking questions and said, "I guess I need to learn how to do my hair because father-in-law told me I need to cut things out." I brought up the program and their eyes glazed over. 6. I am also worried about it coming down to the need for them moving in with us. We did buy a large house because we planned to build equity and wanted the kids to each have their own room as they get older. After we bought our home, my mother-in-law mentioned they never lived in a home this large. We paid a third of what they paid for their home and put almost 40% down. 7. It isn't just his parents. I'm afraid sister-in-law has the same mindset. She has maxed out credit cards and bought a new car when there was nothing wrong with her old car. She's not working and doesn't have a plan after college. She always calls us rich, and for holidays requests gifts that we can't even afford to buy ourselves. Every single meal out while visiting either there or here, it is always assumed he will pick up the check. It's sickening watching all of the unnecessary spending. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Oh, come on. Why would he give them that? Do they starve? No. Do they have a roof over their heads? Yes. End of story. Tell your husband absolutely not. If he does, he is just as irresponsible as his parents, and I would disentangle my finances from his completely if I were you, just to protect myself and the kids. Comment 2. OMG, absolutely do not give the check to them. You already spent thousands for holidays. They need serious help for a shopping addiction. If he gives them the money now, what is it for, or is it just to have spending money? He needs to tell them that they need to see a financial planner as soon as possible. Now, for the update. After the Thanksgiving trip, my husband and I had a long talk about his parents' financial situation and what we should do about the bonus. We both agreed that simply giving them the money wouldn't solve the underlying issues. It was a tough decision, but we decided that the best way to help was to offer support in a different way. We invited my in-laws over for dinner the following weekend to discuss things. We didn't want to come across as judgmental or condescending, so we approached the conversation with care. We explained that while we were not in a position to give them the bonus, we were willing to help them get their finances in order. We offered to pay for a financial advisor to help them create a budget and a plan to tackle their debt. At first, they were a bit defensive, but as we talked more about the importance of financial stability, especially with retirement on the horizon, they started to come around. My husband shared how we had used a budget to manage our own finances, and I could see a flicker of hope in their eyes. The following week, we helped them find a reputable financial advisor and made the arrangements. The advisor was able to work with them to create a realistic budget that would allow them to start paying down their debt while still living comfortably. They even found ways to cut back on expenses without feeling like they were sacrificing too much. As for my sister-in-law, we had a separate conversation with her. We expressed our concerns about her financial habits and the importance of being self-sufficient. We didn't want to lecture her, but we did want her to understand that we couldn't be her financial safety net. She seemed to take it to heart, and she mentioned that she was considering looking for a part-time job to start paying down her credit card debt. Over the next few weeks, we saw a change in my in-laws. They started shopping at more affordable stores and even began meal prepping to save money. My mother-in-law sold some of her designer clothes online, and my father-in-law started doing odd jobs on the side to bring in extra income. It was a complete turnaround from their previous spending habits. As for the bonus, my husband and I decided to put it towards our savings and to start a college fund for our children. We also used a portion of it to make some much-needed repairs on our older car, ensuring it would last us a few more years. The best part of this whole situation was seeing my in-laws taking control of their finances. They seemed happier and less stressed, and our relationship with them improved because we were no longer worried about them asking for money. They even started giving us tips on how to save money, which was a pleasant and unexpected role reversal. As for Thanksgiving this year, my in-laws insisted on hosting again. They wanted to show us that they could do it without overspending. They planned a simple but lovely meal, and we all chipped in to help. It was one of the most enjoyable holidays we've had in years, and it felt like we had all come full circle. In the end, we learned that sometimes the best way to help someone isn't by giving them what they ask for, but by supporting them in making lasting changes. It wasn't an easy journey, but it brought our family closer together, and for that, I am truly grateful. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey there, just wondering, did you ever consider setting boundaries with your in-laws about money talks? It's great you're helping, but you can't be their ATM. Maybe sit down with them and outline what you can and can't do. It's tough love, but it'll save you headaches down the road. Comment 2. Oh boy, sounds like you're running a family bank there. Kudos for not caving and playing financial superhero. It's like teaching a man to fish, right? Except you're teaching them to save their pennies. Keep that bonus for the kiddos' college fund and maybe buy yourself a nice bottle of We Survived the In-Laws wine. Cheers. Now, for the next story. In May of 2022, my brother, who is 48 years old, did not come home one night and then told his wife of 17 years that he found someone else and was leaving her. His wife and kids, a 15-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy, were completely blindsided. Since then, my brother immediately moved in with his affair partner, divorced his wife, generally disregards his kids' feelings on the situation, and believes everyone should get over it and move on. He refuses to acknowledge how anyone might be hurt by his actions and certainly has never apologized to his kids. Prior to this event, he has treated my parents poorly. He is often rude and disrespectful towards them, and his behavior towards them has only been worse. My mom makes a lot of effort to be kind to him and his affair partner. If they see him at one of his kids' events, they always go up to him. If he sees them, he won't go talk to them, but then he's angry they didn't talk to him when often they had no idea he was even around. My brother has not had much of a relationship with me or my other siblings prior to this. We feel all efforts to remain in touch and connected have been one-sided and not returned on his end. Since we found out about the affair, we have all sunk a lot of time and effort into supporting his kids and have generally been no contact. My sister and I have both expressed how hurtful he has been, she was nicer than me, and have since been no contact. He has not made any contact with any of us, including my other brother, but will tell his children we are terrible because we haven't reached out to him to see how he's doing. My mom invited him to Thanksgiving, and he has decided he is coming and is going to bring his affair partner and her child. I think we should tell him not to bring her, that it's too soon and not a good idea, but my mom is afraid my brother will cut off all contact with her and keep his kids from her and us. It's definitely a terrible and difficult situation. No choices feel good. So, am I the idiot for telling my brother not to bring his affair partner to Thanksgiving? ETA info. My mom and dad are hosting. When my mom invited my brother to Thanksgiving initially, he said he wasn't coming. She wanted to arrange when to pick up his kids, his day with them, so they could be there, and he said, "We will see." She took that to mean he wasn't going to let them come to her house if he wasn't there. A couple of days later, he has now decided he is coming and to expect 5 people. Him, his affair partner, her kid, and his 2 kids. The affair partner was never explicitly invited, nor was she explicitly excluded. I probably could have explained this better in my original post. My mom thinks that disinviting him would then exclude my niece and nephew. My mom's primary concern with uninviting, placing restrictions on, not including my brother, is that he will deny her time with his kids in retaliation. She is convinced he will keep my niece and nephew from coming to Thanksgiving and blame it on my parents, me, and my siblings. AP Satker's affair partner. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I've been where you are. Except I am one of the kids in this situation. My father's family chose to support and include my mother and us kids, and my father, who had the affair, was not invited to his family's dinners and events, except funerals and similar. The affair partner was most definitely not invited or included. It was lovely. Us kids still got to see all our paternal relatives, and tension was delightfully low as all the people present were supportive and respectful of one another. Comment 2. He knows what he is doing by bringing his affair partner to the dinner. Don't think for one moment he doesn't. If this happened in my family, I would hold my own Thanksgiving dinner and invite his ex-wife and children. Let your brother and his affair partner have dinner with your mom. The fact that his affair partner has no shame is as bad as him having no shame. I wouldn't give them an audience for their nonsense. Your mom invited them, and your mom can have Thanksgiving alone with them, not the idiot. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a week since I last shared what's been going on with my brother, and let me tell you, things have taken some turns. So, after a lot of back and forth, we decided to let my brother know that bringing his affair partner to Thanksgiving wasn't the best idea. We were all worried about the tension it would cause, especially for his kids. My mom was the one who talked to him, and surprisingly, he agreed without much fuss. He said he understood and that it would just be him and the kids coming. We were all relieved, thinking maybe he was starting to see how his actions affected everyone. Thanksgiving came, and it was awkward, but manageable. My brother showed up with his kids, and we all tried to make the best of it. The kids seemed happy to be with the family, and my brother was on his best behavior, which was a shock to all of us. We actually had a few moments where it felt like old times, laughing and sharing stories. It was nice to see my niece and nephew enjoying themselves, considering everything they've been through. But then, 2 days after Thanksgiving, my brother's kids told us something that none of us saw coming. Apparently, their dad and his affair partner had gotten married. They had a small ceremony the weekend before Thanksgiving. He didn't tell anyone in the family, not even his own kids, until after the fact. They were sworn to secrecy until he decided it was time to let the cat out of the bag. This revelation threw us all for a loop. We couldn't believe he would make such a big decision and not tell his kids or anyone in the family. It felt like a slap in the face, especially since we had all been working so hard to keep the peace and support his kids. It also explained why he was so calm about not bringing his now wife to Thanksgiving. He probably didn't want to deal with the drama of announcing his marriage then. The kids are confused and hurt. They don't understand why their dad would keep this from them and why he would marry someone so quickly after leaving their mom. It's like he's living in a completely different world, disconnected from the impact of his choices on his family. But here's the twist. My brother's new wife reached out to my mom a few days after the kids spilled the beans. She wanted to apologize for any tension she might have caused and said she understood why she wasn't invited to Thanksgiving. She seemed genuine and even said she's been encouraging my brother to mend things with the family. It was a conversation that left my mom feeling conflicted because she seemed so reasonable, unlike the image we had of her. And then, the bombshell. She mentioned offhandedly that she's been having trouble getting in touch with my brother since their wedding day. She thought he was just busy with work, but now she's starting to worry because he's not returning her calls or texts. She asked my mom if we knew anything, or if he had said anything to us about going away. None of us had heard from him since Thanksgiving. His kids haven't seen him either. He's just vanished. His new wife is freaking out, and now we're all starting to worry too. It's like he dropped this huge news on us and then just disappeared off the face of the earth. So now we're left with a ton of questions. Why did he get married in secret? Why isn't he talking to his new wife? Where did he go? And most importantly, is he okay? It's a mess, and we're all trying to figure out what to do next. His kids are staying with their mom for now, and we're all keeping in touch with his new wife to see if there are any updates. It's a situation that none of us could have predicted, and it's only raised more concerns about my brother's well-being and his state of mind. We're all just hoping he turns up soon and can explain what's going on. But for now, we're all in the dark, trying to support each other and especially his kids through this confusing time. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey, it's tough when family dynamics get thrown into chaos. Maybe suggest a separate celebration with your brother and his new partner. This way, you're not excluding him, but also respecting the feelings of everyone else. It's a compromise that could keep the peace and avoid drama. Comment 2. I feel for you. That's a real emotional roller coaster. It's okay to feel hurt and confused by your brother's actions. Remember, you can't control his choices, but you can control how you respond. Stay strong for the kids and keep those lines of communication open with your family. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.